Hi, it's me, it's Chastia. I'm on here for a bunch of different reasons right now. A bunch of different reasons that I came on this live, and I'm kind of just waiting to see if anybody gets the message for a second. So if you're watching this on a rerun, because I want to be able to talk to at least one person, and I know it'll connect. Right now, evidently, YouTube's the channel that I need to be giving these off of, because I know I tricked TikTok into banning me from lives until the 31st. Funny thing is, my son's birthday falls through there, and there's so much going on right now with all of this merging, connecting, and bringing down an artificial grid system. What's funny, there's somebody. I got one on. And I know that y'all will watch these after because of how YouTube's set up, but right now at 1:17 p.m. on the 26th of January 2024, I originally came on here because I started getting really emotional. I started getting really emotional about all the people. We've got all these no matter what perception any human is working out of, whether you're trying to get across the border because of whatever's going on in your country. And then with the state of the United States and the way the United States was set up in the original masonry energetic way that this cosmic grid system was set up on for the human, which has been a simulation for a really long time. The controls, this is how we got trapped in it, and how it kept just redoing, is because we all had to go to the past in order to recreate a connecting future. See, I'm seeing this from so many different angles right now, that with everything lining up yesterday, if you don't follow me on TikTok, we went through a wormhole on the full moon. I did, out there. Because really, from another perspective, all the collective body is doing right now, and it is a collective body, it would be attached into the divine feminine, which is, in a way, a collective entity that births the planet. And all the DNA lines that were involved in always being a part of it for the last 1,000,000 years. Because it's a 1,000,000-year click to move a star. All we're doing is standing up. All we did yesterday is we didn't even have to pop our head through. All we did, we were already sitting up at this point, but we's like this, slouched over. All we did was do this. The entire collective and the new collective body and what's real, what's been formed that's real now through a 40-year, 30-year, 20-year, I don't know how old you are, transmutation process in order to bridge and have a bridge in from the Akashic libraries and the sedation and the land and the waters and everything else that was attached into your lines and codes. If you're the one watching this right now, we're the ones that are connected in that's why we still have water, that's why we still have trees, all of that. But it's a collective body that rebirths from underneath, and it's never come out before. It's always just eaten its tail basically and gone back in a circle and perpetuated the illusion. This time the head is coming out. Now that means a lot of things on different levels, because at the highest level, it's what I'm talking about. All we did was stand up. At the lowest dimension, it's a dragon that had been coiled up down there and then became a giant galactic bird. And I mean, my lord. And all we've been doing is slowly unbinding ourselves, because that wormhole was getting rid of the zeta reticuli field. So basically the zeta reticuli had everything set up down here on an X. If you look at the Milky Way, it was an X, not a cross. What the cross would be the proper lineup for the Milky Way. Well, they had it all just turned a little bit and then wiggling it back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And over a long period of time, it made a huge gate to get from a cross to an X. And that's when mutants, all that type, the X. Well, what happened yesterday is that I tuned in with everybody through that grid system, and our energy body was going wah, wah, wah. And then all of a sudden I was up in my, which these things don't happen a lot. All of a sudden I was up in my third eye, and first and it's the second time this has happened, because when I first started seeing stuff out there, what I thought it was my own eye. I thought it was me. And so I was seeing it, and I was like, come closer, come closer. Well, then as soon as I started staring in its eye, it started vanishing and sinking. That's when I realized we're rising up, like the collective head in that bubble just pulled up, because that's the second time that's happened. The first one had a big Cleopatra headdress on with this weird ass snake, and then a big black dragon, whenever she finally bound to her, came after me. See, so this was that same thing, but way up there. And whenever that happened, then it was like I had clear sight. There was nothing masked or anything in front of me. But then that's when everything started turning orange and red. And I was like, oh shit, we're in a wormhole. It was like a triangle, and we went through a wormhole. And that wormhole was not straight. It was which is like that same connection into Perseus that goes to the pole that drops to that M35 sun, because we pulled everything in the core so it would burst it out. And that's exactly what happened. Whenever I got up there, and then we went through the portal thing, and then we stopped, and then I was pushing everything off of our crown chakras, just in a big blast, like everything that we could push off of our energy. Because right now what you just want to be thinking is just hold your energy to hold everything up. That's what we're all doing right now, as this atmospheric pressure and this and is all clearing, because now the collective, because whenever we cleared that and we brought it up, that was basically through that X alignment. So if you want to think about it, we connected all those. If we're in a cross position and somebody went like this and made it an X and then it just got deeper, well, this cross is way out here. So every time they moved that X and it created that gap, because it's not flat, that's what that wormhole became, was connecting all the times that this had been moved from a cross to an X. Hey, Brenda. Well, we traveled through that, but that was also the mind, and it was all the weird stuff that was going on with the right hemisphere, left hemisphere, that was holding everybody in a mind control. And that's why we're getting that atmospheric river that's coming up on the Pacific and all that mist. But that's because we cleared through a tunnel real quick. Now that energy is all having to process through and clear through in a giant orb. And that's what's going to be happening over the weekend. At the same time, as soon as, and I had to, after that happened, I dropped back in my body really quick. And then when I went to stand up, oh shit. My whole body felt like I was getting something poured into me, but from my feet to my head. It was like I stood up and my head went completely lightheaded, but it was more like I could feel my body. It's almost like I could see codes getting poured into it, but it felt like it was coming from my feet up, is what was weird. My head was pounding, but the codes were feeling like they were coming in through my feet up. And I knew what that was since the collective popped through this seam, and this is the timelines and everything that we've been creating for and bridging and weaving for the last 7 years with all this. The whole thing has been proving the timelines that rewrote, because if you were too busy trying to stop us from writing our timelines and you didn't write timelines, then guess what? You don't have any timelines. So what we've been fighting, I mean, because first we had to save everybody. Then we had to figure out how to do it. Then we had to figure out how to connect it. Then when we did, then everybody wanted it. Then everybody wanted to gate it. Then everybody wanted to take it over. So everybody wanted to be us. That's been what we've been dealing with for 2 years. We'd already done the other part. And by all of us walking the timelines that we walked down here in order to make sure that it was going to be something of it on the other side when we were done. And all of us were building our own ascended timelines, because there never was anything down here but a fucking program. So the collective that just ascended through made the programs that everybody else is going into now. And not that a program's bad, because it takes a minute. It's each elevation level, you get more cosmic power and cosmic creation, and even if it feels like you're having to start at the bottom on something in some area this next 9 months. And because basically we've got it, everybody's getting here's what it is. Everybody's getting a 30-year lesson that was supposed to take 3 years in 9 months. And not a bad lesson. If you're meant to now move up into a bigger leadership organization that has more to do with changing more mass financial or mass this and this and this and this, then there might be pieces of that you want to learn, that you need to learn and just experience once, like running a business or having to get your own marketing material out, or would be things that employees don't realize that the business owners do. And then whenever in your next step in 9 months is to be in a room as a partner to a bunch of elevated business owners. So the 9 months leading up to it, like right now, by the end of the year, then you're going to start getting the download on what to do to create or partner with another entrepreneur or something. You'll an opportunity will come in that will put you in the position to be able to start elevating your reality at the same time that you're learning what not to do. You're not learning what to do. You're not learning what to do. You're learning what not to do. Basically, because your failures are way give you way more information than your successes. Hi, Mary. But that's all happening because we moved into this. Now, the other thing, I saw the red pop off because this happened yesterday. We hit sonar. Which, this is what was giving me confirmation after confirmation that we had hit this higher. But remember, if we hit the higher, then it's going to go lower at the same time. The other thing was the earthquakes that all went off on the 25th. I did a TikTok on it, and if you go look at the times whenever they came in, I mean, it's like a 5 point, a 2 point, a 2 point, a 5 point. It's like a pattern. So what's happening around the core, because the core is expanding. The core is expanding and basically pulling all of the energy into the new structure as it's depleting the old structure at the same time. Because the core can't charge on 2 different settings using 2 different types of gasoline. So see now, and this is why we're going up here, because all of this is expanding, and up here is where we've laid these bridges, and we're set in a much bigger unit, all working together than we can possibly imagine, than we can even possibly imagine. The people standing up and going, and no matter, because we really only have one energy that the humans are fighting with, and it's whatever energetic is still holding some whatever type of energetic power that they're holding. In that old structure that would be perceived as the federal government, whatever. But we know that was all It wasn't even that it was infiltrated. It's what it was. It's what the phonetics were really built for. In days when it flipped, because the words, the way it was all set up, was all built to energetically run the world from the United States. Because the United States always had everything. The currents were always going up and out from here. And that's why, since the beginning of my awakening, when all these people in the other countries in 2018 were trying to give me bullshit about how bad they had it. And I was like, you don't know shit if you're not living here. About hardships, about being imprisoned, about being trapped, about you don't know shit if you're not dealing with what we're dealing with down here, because you want us to energetically support you and give us all our money. Well, it's kind of the same thing. My point is the people, and that's why I just started crying. Because I mean, I know what's going on in Argentina. The mafia took over the south hemisphere, and then they just flipped us all into the southern hemisphere and tuned the goddamn matrix to them. Literally, that's what happened. And that grid structure is like a petrified piece of wood right now that's coming apart because it can't hold unless we're in unless we're in it, and we're not. And you can't fight if you don't have my men. Everybody's fighting over land and stuff, but nobody fought over for the people but us. The Ascended. That's all this has been about, because the people make the land. But see, not very many people know that. It's even why Saudi Arabia is growing stuff in the desert right now, because their DNA has changed. I don't know why I'm pulling on my ear. The other thing that's happening is this is about going to be sewn up like a sewing machine. So it's like there's a bubble that's over it. Like I said, I can pop my head up a couple of more layers because I had to in order to complete Cohu 32, basically, since we built it, and that's basic right now in this bridge of reality. This is your star systems are tuned to these programs and the experiences that you need to have in the easiest way. It's not going to be like before where it's going to completely kick your ass. It's just going to be like more like little lessons. But it's all, basically every single bit of it is there to show you the true way of how the whole thing manifests to begin with, because you were a part of manifesting whatever it is that created your lesson and challenge to begin with, if that makes any sense. It gets you out of a 3D way of manifesting and doing things, because that's not how it's really done. It's not how it's ever been really done. It's how it was harnessed down to deliver it to you, so you didn't know how to do it. That part. And we're moving up now into this ascended leadership roles in the bubble. But the thing is like nobody's ever done this before. So also I knew on this video that I wanted to make the command that the only beings that are allowed to project realities are the ascended. The masses need to tune to our reality. Whatever reality the ascended originals that were written in this time that proved and broke all the fucking seals and did everything that we needed to do. And I don't know who their names are, and I don't fucking care. But whoever is up there with me and whoever descendants that are connected to, that are all connected into the ladder, into the process, and are in processing to be pulled up in some way through any DNA line that was healed, which is all of them, I command that our projection and our codes override everything else and project the divine timelines that we proved and wrote and did all this crap to fucking begin with, which was the reason we were all here right now and sent to this crazy fucking blip hole. I mean, how did we go from 1940 to 1970 in a blink of an eye? Exactly. And it's 142. Right. Especially, I mean, another example of that is why sometimes I don't eat. If I've got a channel real high, I won't eat for a day, or I won't eat that morning because I've got to do all this channeling. And then I know, because I know that my body moves up and down like a speaker system and all the etheric layers. Those are the things and that you're gonna realize because your higher selves are having you do things you think it's for a different reason, but it's usually because of an alchemy process of something you're trying to connect, something you're trying to weave, something you're having to clean out data in order to get new data in. These are all new codes, and it's a whole reality setting from the inside out. It's not getting to you from the outside in anymore. It all starts with your own projection. And then what you're going to put up with. And what you're going to allow everyone else to put up with. Because right now, we're the ones. Now, as soon as we make commands, they happen like immediately. Because we're immediately. But I'm talking about the ground, the earth, the government, all this shit, all that. The only thing that they're holding power to is because the masses are still projecting the reality in a lower force field, literally, a forced field. That's the only thing that's keeping that bullshit playing out. And what I'm saying is that with what's happening over the weekend is that all these new body codes and stuff are coming in, and it's grounding us not into what you'd call Earth, into the new bridge timelines that now we're and the planets and the stars, that everything is going to start projecting down to the collective. Because I mean, it's basically like a giant water portal is in space is what we're going through right now. It's like a giant water portal. You think that you're where you know the whole thing, what you'd consider this realm, is like being threaded through, because that water has to be pulled. The only reason that there was water over us is because we were in Alpha Draconic. We weren't where we were supposed to be. We weren't in the Milky Way. We were in a weird little petri dish in another part of space. because in order for the entire collective to be able to have the energetic frequency to connect their third eye, that's how far out we have to blow out and hold space for it, literally. And that's what was locked down with the X's. So it's like there never was enough space to blow for the collective to open up. So all of us that were the ones that would get popped up, it's like we'd become the seal, because we would blow out all the way and then not be able to get out. That's why human beings have to understand what we do and what we say and how the technology we use and what we call the technology and how the energy runs through it, and all that is running through your human body. It's running through your brain, and it's running through whatever realm, planet, whatever. But understand that visually is going to change with every evolved body code. But Avatar ain't it. Avatar's that movie Avatar's the opposite of Avatar. Just happened down here. They're freaking blue and shit. Not the human race coming all the way through and devolving and changing and still looking like a human. And basically everyone that's ascending right now into this higher structure, that's the first ones. I don't know what's on all your charts, but it don't matter anymore. You're a descendant of the new cosmic, basically the cosmic dragon, because this is where it's like I'm starting to see how the brand and how the way we've been doing things and what we put up and how we were running stuff has already produced the people that are around us and that came into our world as we were going deeper and interfaced with us, because it was already made from what we're doing now, the first one, literally. So we're in this weird time where a lot of you are gonna start getting like you're gonna experience things tomorrow, but they really happened today, or you're gonna experience things in 2 days, but it really happened yesterday. And it's gonna from when it happened versus when it shows up, it's going to be like a reverb from like the ancient future or the ancient past, that's like the connector, because everything, the new earth and everything, it's already written. We wrote it. The battle was from who was going to be able to step into it in fullness, and we did that. So now everything's having to line up to the collective characters that were written by the collective. So the other thing that's happening right now this weekend is it's being determined as a collective where to send us, because we're all connected in a much bigger plan. Even though you think that none of our stuff is connected, yeah, it is. It matters where we are, all that stuff, because it works in one big unit. So what's happening right now is that basically pulses are being taken in different industries, like where on the land do we need to go? How do we need to center that, and what energy frequencies in order to connect in those timelines with the movement and get back into that frequency, but then also what does the collectively need now and what needs to wait, because as a collective, that's how we do it. It's like we're connected into all the people, we're connected into the land. We know what's going to crack first, even if we don't fully understand, because the collective knows. We know when everything's was supposed to pop off, not if it's going to. We know because our physical bodies are holding a lot of it. This Watergate connection, this water portal is one of them. Most people won't even realize they came through it. They might get a little dizzy. They might need to sit down. That's what happened. But that's our energy bodies are holding these charges. We're made to. In fact, every single time that it switches into our body, it charges up the collective in a new way, but then it sends an additional controller pulse to the bottom one, and then we all kind of got to figure it out, because all those codes are going into us all at the same time, and it's a new frequency pattern, and it doesn't necessarily mean to be mimicked. It needs to be altered to a more flow state. So that's going on this weekend. It's like the collective, it's being determined. So a lot of us don't know what to do next. Well, this is why. It's being determined basically where to send all the leaders energetically, because all you have to do is, for some of it, all you got to do is get there. So what's having to be determined first is the leaders in whatever, in this amoeba. It's being determined what they're going to be doing, where they're going to be going, and then once that's determined energetically, which it's pretty close to getting sealed up right now. That level's almost done. Almost done. I think in 24 hours that'll be sealed. So once that's determined, then it can start rearranging everything else to get, because that's the most urgent. And then what are going to be the ripples from it? Well, then we can link this in and link this in, and so the energy comes through it. So then this is where you'll start getting a better idea of what you're supposed to be doing now. But that's why it's held up. And this is just cleaning the sonar. You know what comes right after sonar? Stellar. So the sonar just went off. Now I don't know how long we'll be in sonar waves, clearing these sonar waves, but that's part of this atmospheric river, whatever. Once that gets balanced out and cleared from the wah, which is just us vibrating. So this is the next couple of days over the weekend. Then it's going to hit a charge and it's going to boom. And see, that's where this sewing machine is like sewing up. It's a new matrix mind pattern tuned to the cosmos that overrides all lower frequencies. That's why you're going to be tested in a way to see what you're going to do with it. Cuz that is what it is. You change it. It's already happening. We've already been doing it. We've just been doing it as a collective for the whole world. Now it's going to be more personal. And this is also, be careful what you create. quantum consciousness activations into reality. Yeah, if you put into what you'd consider definition of reality, that'd be a good way to put it. But it's already been done. All of the stories have been written. We even used all the stories that they put out as propaganda codes. As soon as one of us sees one of those movies where they're trying to change timelines, like a Pulp Fiction type movie, it always has been reverberating out there. It's like it just came through our filter, basically. And these guys were getting it, and then it was changing over here, but it was all being documented what was changed every time. Now whenever we do it, and now whenever we watch it, it just basically untunes their movie and it tunes it to our thoughts. So it's like whatever you're watching that movie, whatever your subconscious is saying, and you go, "Oh God, well that's that," and that's why all the people are seeing it now, because it's tuned to the real. Your subconscious thinking is tuned to what you're watching, and the people are hearing it. And the people are hearing it. Because if they're the lower that they are into a program setting, the more that their program is running through you, because you're conscious of it, and we're the ones who came in. If we wouldn't have, if the human race wouldn't have had this, everybody would have just killed each other. That's why we're the healers. That's why we're holding the bridge. Because the bridge, I mean, what is a bridge? Bridge is just getting from one point to another. That's where we're at right now in this whole thing. And we're going to be parked here once we make that final stellar connection. We'll be parked here, and that's how it'll be running and operating. It's how it was running and operating before, unconsciously, but now us ascended are conscious that that's what's happening. And you're going to start meeting a whole bunch of people who have been in the same fucking situation you've been. I mean exactly the same. Could even be the same names. Well, Alex and Rion were not my friends. They might have been your friends, but they definitely weren't my friends. In fact, I don't know why they're not in jail yet. In another dimension, I know that they are. But that's because of this mind control shit. But still, no matter. Like, that's why I don't want that shit around me. Fucking no way, no how. It's what started this fucking bullshit. But it's all that Arizona programming. Arizona ain't even supposed to be there. Arizona is Mars and Venus on the new phonetic count. Literally. Literally. And the sign that says 2012 is when it got there. I'm pretty sure that what we think of it as it is right now. That's why everything went so fucking nuts without in the desert, Joshua Tree, and quartzite, all that. That's why that shit went fucking nuts. It's why I have to activate Montezuma in 2018 to be ready for it. But they got to clean up their shit. They got to see some shit. They had them working for the wrong side, even if they didn't know it. That's my point. But no matter what energy field they were utilizing to do it in the spirit, it now has a lesson in it. So whatever that is, it's gonna, depending on how much they were conscious of it, that's how you know who's conscious of it. Because the people that are involved who aren't conscious to what I'm telling you are, they'll just kind of, they got to move houses. They got to do they got to do this. They got to just little shit. If the ones that are consciously doing it, you'll know by what happens next. I just think it's interesting that I've been waiting for 3 to go down, and all of a sudden we have Prince William, Charlie the dog, and Katie. And when did they start naming? Have you noticed that now all their names start with the C, but they really start with a K? They're all down right now, and I've been waiting for 3. And people are coming out now and saying that they think William's the Antichrist. Maybe the vessel. And then the Anaheim house that is hinging on this California, Florida shit. It basically made the East Coast and West Coast a giant cylinder. It was a giant hydrogen collider, the whole United States, if you just think of it like that. Like the inside of a cement tube that lines the streets. That's what it was like. The way they had it bridged over California to Florida, it just is a giant ocean cylinder. It's nuts. It's nuts. Well, Kendall and Kylie need to be fucking harvested. The Dash-ins are freaking who created LegalZoom, and that's how this corporation got all out of hand, called the United States of America. I know they tried to cook us. I was the one who freaking took over the lead cook, Misha. In the end. Y'all, I know for me, I've been dead for 15 months. There literally wasn't a timeline for me to step into. It had to be created by the collective. And since I was ahead, and since we had to, to get out of all this, we had to resurrect the Harvest Girls. We had to go to complete ash and spirit and do it all in the unseen in order to pull it off. So and the timelines had already stopped being written. See, the last battle, this last 15 months, has all been about them trying to take the timeline we wrote because we pulled it off. Not that we didn't pull it off, if that makes sense. It's why everything just stopped, is because that's why we literally had, because whenever they say 40,000 years is 400 years, that's how long it takes 40,000 years, 4,000 years, 400 years, all that to make all the timelines for the whole group, because it all works in it all is connected into the same fabric of the change, if that makes, I hope that freaking makes sense. There wasn't it's like we had already finished the railroad, put the track on, done all of that. The battle was to control the frequency of the track and the trains so that it wasn't dropping to the floor and everyone else jumping in without us. So it's like it took those of us out of time 15 months in order to rebirth ourselves in the new codes because we went raw. So we basically had to birth in that lower dimension again, build the connectors up into what needed to come with us. And that is now our new timeline. But it's one that's never been written before. It's easier for the people who are going back into a little bit of program because they're going back in first. I'm witnessing that too. Like people around me, I can look and see, okay, I know exactly where she is. She's in this stage of Christy's life, learning, and most of it, I'm seeing it within, it's not emotional lessons, it's stuff that you need to learn, just little thing about teamwork and working in a group and or entrepreneurial or stuff like that. Like getting a job in between to learn some skills because you know you're fixing to need them. Shit like that. But that's already lined up because it was a timeline that was already written. If you've mastered all the programs, there's no program to go into. That was the problem. We had to build an ascended program for everyone to go into so they could finish. That's why the masses are having tribulation right now. But Cohu 32 is, I mean, Arcturians always wrote the Matrix programs. If you have a lot of Libra energy, your story's in it. All of our life lessons and everything that we were doing was going into the program. The problem is they tried to put a whole world in AB programming with technology instead of DNA. And AB programming is like when you put the mouse on the thing and then you're like, can I get some cheese? No. It's like, that's why I was crying for the people today. I know that this is it's so nuts what was going on down here, and it was so much worse than what we ever could have thought. And it's just, that's why the divine realities and us projecting the reality, it will link in. We're the realm, we're the earth. It will link in, but it is a big responsibility. That's what, and most of us are ready for it. It works it works all together. There's not one or two that can throw us off anymore. That was the problem for a long time. There's not. It now the whole thing's in play. Because it's basically elemental, what you'd consider magic, morphing, terraforming, all of that's filling in the gaps. That's the unseen. That's the part we've already written. We've already written and programmed all the gaps. We just have to make it to the mark. And then everything else will line up. Because it literally is like a whole bunch of beam me up Scotties are all coming down at the same time. And in those tubes, our freaking etheric body is filling up all the spaces around the beam me up Scotties. Literally, it's like that's what's going down right now over the United States. It's fucking nuts. What's the craziest part for me that I'm seeing is because most of the illusions and the magic is coming off the tech, and so I'm realizing how they fucking did it, and I'm like, The good news is I know we've already re-engineered this and built it into Cohu 32 in the future, which is how we were able to even channel it here in order to bring it back, to bring it in here in order to utilize it to finish it, because we're seeing that happen too. It's coming in right now. I stated this last night, and this was something that I cleaning the royal lines and all the data on this journey. Basically, every single college curriculum on any subject that's ever been taught down here since the King's College, which was the first university ever in the history that only the kings were getting the original knowledge. That's the last clean version of anything that was taught down here. And I'm talking about what you think is engineering, what you think is architecture, what you think is this and this and that. It was all, parts of it are true, but not, it was all taught. And those social studies, the way they did all of it, the way they did all of it in the education system, in the universities, and taught people and trained them to come work in their atmosphere, all of it's a little off. Especially after Oxford, because Oxford was Anne Boleyn's dad. That's why, too, it's like a divine reset happening. It's a new mind map. Everybody's just having to either open up to it or not. What's up, India? That's come up recently, too. It was 2 days ago that I cut the HP Blavatsky, whatever deal HP Blavatsky had to do backdoor to get a woman inside the Brotherhood, which all played out in Hermosa right before the DOD picked me up and me and Misha split apart. That plan with India then is what ended up being how it got controlled from outside of the United States. And I'm talking about the infrastructure, the human infrastructure. And then that's how India kind of got wedged in between America and Saudi Arabia in a weird way. But then but Saudi just copied how India did it, basically. As far as building the reality and building all of it so quick, because it was utilizing this current. Man, I bet it's trippy over in India right now. Y'all in India, you might be seeing more of it like change right in front of your eyes. I'm seeing the energy there, like, to where you're the energy of the people, the faith, all that, it's not extreme like the other in the area that you're at, and everything's kind of built in a middle system. So I'm seeing to where stuff's just gonna start terraforming right in front of some of y'all's faces. In that plot of land. That's interesting. That's cool. Thank you for coming over. I just saw that. That helps me. The tech industry and the tech phonetics that built India is even what I'm talking about. Those were the control keys that got taken over by a much non human faction. Because they're used to us landing up here in the Tropic of Cancer and then that being it. Creating a boom, coming in, and then boom, and then they gate it. Well, we landed like in August. Now we're coming out the other side. Now we landed and cored all the way through. Now we're coming out the Tropic of Capricorn. And everybody's got a balance. That's the part that's never happened before that's happening. So I'm grateful you're here. We'll put a pin in. We're going to start making a map with everybody who orders and stuff and that's involved to see where we're all at. And I won't say anything else, but I'm making a move for the first time too, because I'm involved, of course, with sewing this up with one of my notorious driving things. So that's coming up in the next 5 days. So hang in there. That's what's going on. That's what's going on. New codes coming in. Everything's shifting. Just make sure that your vessel and you just don't get in any, if you don't get irritated, don't get in it, just stay even keel and fill up right now. And you might have waves of emotion that come over you, because I know for me, it's like I'm finally back in the realm of the living. So, because I was only in those out areas. It's like for the longest time, this past couple of years, I've been only reading the land and the mount. Like the energy currents that I was reading were more from what you'd call cosmic space, matrix, in between codes, land, da 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 da. I really couldn't feel the people because I wasn't in the realm of the living, basically. And so that's what, for me, I'm feeling more of that. Like all of a sudden. For others of you, you might be getting pulled away from emotion because you've got to go further out a little bit in order to make your connection. So you need, because there's a time for each. If you haven't gone through each stage. Because it's like having to pay for your oil to get taken out of your car because someone put too much oil in it and it created too much carbon. And so it had to be completely drained, completely cleaned out, or the engine will clunk. And that's what's going on with your body right now, transitioning it into new reality codes, and you're standing up in it, and you're moving in it, and you're changing it as you move. You're no longer laying down and projecting it and then having to jump in it. No. Now you're walking and moving in it, and whatever you do and whatever energy you're in, it's what is going to come straight to you. That part. All right, I'm outie. Thank y'all for being here. I don't think I'll come on again today. I'll probably just keep your bell on. Who knows? And follow me and please follow me on TikTok, because that's where all this other stuff. Hey, we just went through a wormhole. That's where that information's popping up, so you can get a quick view real quick of what's going on in the weather too, because we're watching a lot right now from a lot of different angles. Bye.